Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com and the Big Four Accounting Firms YouTube channel. Before we get started, just wanted to remind everybody to support us if you have a chance or if you can. Even $1 helps, and we have a link in the description to a website called Buy Me a Coffee. It's just a way to donate to us and support us. Again, any amount is helpful so that we can keep putting out content. And there's also other ways for you to support us in the show notes to this podcast or on YouTube in the description.
In today's podcast, we're going to be discussing an alliance that E&Y just formed. Now, E&Y just announced an alliance with Crowdstrike. They already had one from last year, and I'll include a link to that. Crowdstrike is like a cybersecurity firm. And it says that they're a leader in the cloud-delivered endpoint protection and workload protection. And they're partnering with E&Y, and they're partnering with them specifically with regards to ransomware, incident response, recovery and remediation, and the acceleration of zero trust capabilities. Now, a lot of these are just buzzwords because, ransomware is going to be tough because a lot of times ransomware means somebody has all of your data, somebody has locked you out of the system, and you have to pay them a ransom to get back into it. And this recently happened. We saw this in the Colonial Pipeline issue in the U.S. We saw it with other firms in the U.S., but specifically it was just announced that CNA Insurance, CNA Financial, which is one of the largest insurance companies in the U.S., had to pay $40 million to ransomware hijacker to unlock their data and restore its network systems. So this is, that's 10 times the amount that was paid by the Colonial Pipeline to their ransomware. So I think that's why this alliance, this additional alliance was announced between CrowdStrike and E&Y because they see a potential for more revenue here. And one of the solutions is a zero trust solution, which processes trillions of events in real time and continuously validates the access of resources, all users, devices, and applications, regardless of location. And I'm reading this out of the press release. And a lot of these solutions are for cloud, for people that have stuff in the cloud. And another thing that they said in this press release, as I already stated, was the response, recovery, and remediation. So response, you need something quick, right? Because CNA got hacked, then they would want a response right away out of CrowdStrike and E&Y. And so that's something that CrowdStrike and E&Y noticed, and they put this out. And then recovery, CNA was locked out of their systems. So ideally, they would like to recover their systems and data that is taken over by ransomware. Now, I see a few problems with this. A lot of times with ransomware, people are not going to be planning ahead, because if they are, then they won't likely be subject to ransomware. So I think it's a catch-22 here, because it's hard to plan for ransomware, but if you don't plan for ransomware, then you're more likely to be a victim of it. And I'm not sure that E&Y and CrowdStrike will be able to help all of their clients that are victims of ransomware, and I'm sure they probably might have tried to help CNA, but they're going to try, especially in lower level ransomware. But it's a unique solution, and I think it's needed. And I think E&Y is smart for announcing this alliance with CrowdStrike, and CrowdStrike is very well known. But I think this is very smart of them to announce this. And I'm going to link to the press release, but I'm also going to link to E&Y's old alliance with CrowdStrike that they announced last year. And also I wanted to talk about what E&Y said. David Berg, who's the head of E&Y Americas, said the following: "The threat of cybersecurity attacks remains top of mind for E&Y clients. An expanded global alliance with CrowdStrike will be invaluable as they continue navigating increasing cyber threats. Through this collaboration, E&Y and CrowdStrike teams aims to address growing concerns regarding ransomware and how to manage potential incident through the new ransomware readiness and resilience and IR recovery and remediation solutions. Strengthening this alliance means supporting clients where they're most vulnerable so they can focus on running their business." So I think through there too, you can see how it's they're trying to help clients plan ahead, and I think they need to get out to market with this. Obviously, the people that are going to hear this first are going to be the cybersecurity clients of E&Y and the cybersecurity clients of CrowdStrike, and then it's up to E&Y and CrowdStrike to get this out to other clients. But I think this is a very good solution. I think it's going to be an increasing line of revenue for E&Y and the other big four accounting firms, but E&Y seems to be at the tip of the spear of this right now, especially with regards to ransomware. And we'll only see the big four advance more in this area. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about today was more stuff got picked up out of the PwC crypto report, crypto hedge funds. And apparently in there, PwC surveyed hedge funds for what they thought the price of Bitcoin would be. And the price of Bitcoin, the most hedge funds thought would be reached at the end of 2021 is above 100,000 to 120,000. So a lot of people are still tweeting about that report, reading through that report, and gaining all the information out of there. So that really helps PwC's services in this area. They'll be getting out there. People will want to be reaching out to PwC to get their ideas on crypto, since they farmed all this information from these crypto hedge funds. So it'll be very interesting to see how PwC's services grow in this area and how the big four accounting firm services grow in this area. And another thing they said in there too was that a lot of these crypto hedge funds, they trade Bitcoin and they trade exclusively, or the majority of their trading is done in Bitcoin for the firms that do trading. Because as we said yesterday, there's some that just focus on DeFi, but there's a lot of stuff going on in there. PwC is getting a lot of press release and a lot of press and media off of this crypto hedge fund report that we covered in yesterday's podcast. But those are the stories for today. To stay up to date, make sure to subscribe to this podcast. Support us financially through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes to this podcast if you can. And if you can't, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for listening.